Alright guys, welcome to the very fourth video in the YouTube channel. First of all, I want us to go through, this is a HTML crash course, the fourth video actually. So this is I've actually started uploading actual videos. So this is a HTML crash course, and we're going to go through the concepts of HTML, starting from what it actually means, and we're not going to really focus on theoretical aspect, right? So we're just going to focus on how to apply HTML, right? Of course, you all know what HTML is, but let's just start with slide. So the first slide says HTML stands for a hypertext markup language, and every website on the internet uses HTML and CSS. Most also use JavaScript. So this also means that you can't actually render anything in the on the internet without the use of HTML, one way or the other. So no matter, even if you're using frameworks or libraries or whatsoever, you must actually create, always and strictly always must create a HTML file. That's something you should always have in mind, right? So there's no way you can actually show anything on your website without HTML. So this next slide is talking about just HTML everywhere, which means like on the internet, right? So the internet literally is HTML. So HTML, if it was a programming language, they probably would have said, yeah, HTML is like the most popular programming language, but it's not programming language actually. It stands for hypertext markup language. It's a markup language, yes. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So, so this one talks about in a website, HTML is the structure, CSS is the style, and JavaScript is functionality. So what this literally means is that just think of it as a house, right? So once we are actually putting the blocks and just the bare structure of the house, just to put a frame of the house. That's what HTML stands for. Right, so we're going to see an illustration once we get to the coding section, but let's just try to explain, see it as a structure of a house, right? But this house doesn't have any style, no design, nothing, just the way the house is. Probably just blocks. Everything I see around is just blocks and the concept, basic structure of the house. Okay, and CSS is the styling. So when we talk about CSS, we're going to go to that for next time, maybe next video. But CSS is just a styling. Like just say we paint the house, right? We paint it. We give it cool designs, right? But the structure on itself is HTML, right? So we now apply CSS on the structure, right? That's what it means. And then JavaScript is functionality. So maybe let's just talk about, assume that's like when you unwire the house, you put sockets, you put showers to functions, stuff like that, and you put utilities inside the house. That's what JavaScript does. Okay, so this is a very basic HTML website, right? So first, every HTML file must have a doc type. So this doc type actually tells the browser, okay, this is the HTML page, right? That's what doc type means. So it always has to be there, right? And then you must always start with the HTML tag. HTML tag. Of course, most likely if you try to do that without you try to create a page without the HTML tag, most likely it might actually show you your content, right? But most likely that most times it's advised to use the HTML tags first, right? So the next tag is the head tag. So the head tag contains most of your metadata, right? But that's not displayed here because this is just a crash course. But it's going to contain the title, which we see a title here, as at this point. Then it's going to contain your meta tags and other things, right? So then we're going to go to the content of the head tag later on. So next we're going to go to consider the body tag now. So this is just a basic illustration. The body tag, right? So the body tag is just the page that contains the website itself, right? So most times you won't see anything you put in head tag in the main web page. So the head tag is just to probably determine how you, just like say, here are some sort of pre-settings for your website. So in the head tag, you can actually even determine, okay, if you want users to be able to scale your page, the website or not, like, you know, how you zoom in, all those things, you can actually set those parameters in your head tag, right? And then all those other settings, right? So we're going to go to those ones later on. So the body tag contains what you want to be visualized on your website. So this is a p tag, and the p tag means a paragraph tag. It contains many text, right? Just text, the text content. You don't use it to design more you don't use it to design most stuff. You just hold text, right? So when we talk about divs, that's when we talk about div. These are actually the tags you use mainly for styling. So if you are creating box model, any styling that you want, any flashy styling on your website, you use divs, right, and span and all those things. But we'll get to those ones later on. Okay, and then there's an image tag. Put in an SRC, and you put in the source. The SRC is an attribute of the image tag. You put in your the source, the path to your image, right, and then it displays it on the website. Sorry, this shouldn't be like this. I don't think it's gonna accept. You just put it as an underscore, or use camel case, stuff like that. So I don't think it accepts dash, but maybe it might actually. Okay, but just to be on the safer side, it's not advisable to use dash. You just use I'm sorry, underscore. Okay. So then this out means okay, in terms of screen readers, right? Like where people that probably don't actually have the ability to see so much. Yes. So this out actually gives us the ability or helps the website in terms of screen reader to actually know, okay, what is this image all about? So this is internet powered by cat pictures. This is just an example, right? This is just an example, but most likely just put what does the image tell us about, like just a text version of the image. What is it all about? In this case, we can just put this is a cat picture. Simple as that. So you close the body tag. Remember to always close your tags because that is really important. If not, it's not going to recognize it as a tag. Every tag must have an opening and a closing. And in most cases, the opening is going to have this head tag. It's just going to be like this sign, a less than sign. Put your tag name and a greater than sign, and then it's not going to close. It does the same thing, but you just add this forward slash. Just wait, add forward. Sorry, wait, add the forward slash. So that's actually what indicates that the tag is closing. Okay, so move to the next slide, which is now HTML is made up of HTML elements. An element is an individual component of HTML. Here's an HTML element from the code above. This is an amazing website. Okay, and okay, yeah. So this is just an element. You just picked out this p tag, and we just want to show that this is an element on its own. So you look at the this is opening tag, and this is our closing tag, right? So always take note of that. So let's talk about tags now. So HTML tags mark the beginning and end of an element and are considered as part of the element, right? Tags are containers. Yeah, literally they hold content on your website. You can't just put stuff on your website without tags. That what tell the browser, okay, this belongs to this belongs to this, right? And when we talk about when we talk about the paragraph tag, the p tag, it actually tells the browser this is a text container, right? Okay, they tell you something about the content between opening and closing tags. Okay, so in the element above, the tags are p opening tag and this forward slash p closing tag. You will notice that the closing tag has a forward slash, right? What we just said. So this particular tag is a paragraph tag. It specifies a paragraph in HTML document, and the words between the opening and closing tags are a paragraph, right? So it's always going to render it in as a new paragraph. That's what that statement actually means. Like when you're writing later now, you're just like, okay, first paragraph, second paragraph. That's actually what it means. Okay, the next section is actually how to write a tag properly. So first things first, you should know that you have to put your opening tag, opening sign, which is a less than sign. Then you put the tag name, and whatever comes in between here is just attributes of the tag. You have the ID. We're going to go to those ones later on. You have the ID, you have the class, you have href, you have other attributes, right? And then you close the tag, and then whatever. And remember, you can't actually put space. Okay, there must be a space here. This is actually what tells, okay, differentiate the attributes from the tag name. So always put this space. If not, it's going to think PID is going to be like the tag name, and that's not an official tag name. So that'll give you an error, right? And then ID is our attribute. So you have ID, it can be a class, can be a name, right? And then this is the attribute value, my ID, and then you close the tag. You just close. This is a close sign for the opening tag. You get, and then now this is the opening sign for the close tag. Okay, it's still the same signs, just they're still exactly the same thing, but just you close a forward slash. And always remember that you can actually put this attribute in your closing tag. It always must be in your opening tag. Okay, that's just basic concept, and no spaces are allowed in this case. Don't put space here, right? Even in this case, don't put space. They're not allowed, right? Okay, so the next slide now tells us about elements can either be container elements, they hold content, or standalone elements, sometimes called self-closing elements. So paragraph elements are containers, right? So take a look at this. They actually hold content, right? Those are called containers, and standalone elements. So in case of your image tag and some other tags, like let's say your, you can have a tag. Let's just say a tag like this, BR. Which is actually, sorry, this means a line break, right? This is just how it is, right? No attribute, nothing. It's just a line like this. So that is an example of a standalone tag, and an image tag is also an example. You can take src. This is an attribute, right? Which indicates the source or the part of the image. Okay, you can also have a class. Okay, and then that one can actually contain the class. See my image. Okay, and then this is a class, and you can also have a name or other property. Notice in the standalone image element there is no closing tag, but there is a forward slash before the final angle bracket. Okay, so what that means is that standalone tag always has a forward slash at this point. Right? It actually have an opening. Since they actually have an opening tag, this is just how they are written. So always take note of that, right? Okay, so let's move to the next slide, which says attributes. Okay, what are attributes? So we're talking about attributes now. Attributes provide additional information about HTML elements. Attribute tags include class. Okay, sorry, this thing is a mistake. So attributes include class, ID, style, lang, and src. There are a lot of them, a whole lot of them, right? So you can have the name, you can have the there are a lot of them. You can actually even create your own attribute, I guess. Yeah, I think I've tried that before. You can create your own attributes. So the attribute just holds temporary information about your tag, right? Or and in most cases, if they're official attributes, then you can actually set in inline property. Like take a look at this style attribute now. It helps you put in inline CSS into your tag, so you can actually style your tag in your HTML without creating a CSS, right? That's actually what the style gives you. But it's going to be really, it's not actually advisable because it's going to make your work really, make it really confusing, right? Because everything is just showing and it just makes it rough, right? So it's not advisable. Just create a separate CSS file for it. Okay. So this is an example of using of its attributes. So you have its ID, right, and it holds the ID name, ID just like your student ID card or stuff like that, your ID number or ID name or whatever. So this actually is the ID of this tag, and it's actually info, right? So let's move to the next slide. And okay, something to note about attributes. So here's some key concepts about attributes. Attributes are positioned inside the opening tag before the right bracket. So that means that they must always be inside the opening tag. They must always be in this section. They can't actually be here for any reason. They can't be here at all. They must always be here, right? So it tells us that attributes are paired with values. In this example, the value is info. So that's what it means here. So you can't have an attribute without a value. You must always have a value, right? That's what they're trying to say in that case. Okay. So key and value pair are important concepts in programming. So yes, if you have a key, then you must have a value, right? That's what it means. If you have an attribute name, you must always have an attribute value. You can't just go empty. Of course, there's an exceptional case. In case of input, let's say we have a create an input tag like this. So yeah, input tag, and then let's just close it. An input tag actually is one of those example of tags we talked about. They are standalone tags, so they don't actually require a double an opening and closing tag. Just on their own. So you can, there's actually an attribute which is read only, right? You can set it to be equal to like this. You can put it like this if you want, or you could just leave it just by itself. So this read only actually signifies that this input tag cannot, its content cannot be altered, so you can actually edit it. Naturally, input tags are meant for inputting information, right? But once you put the read only attribute, it tells it, okay, we can't actually edit anything inside this input tag. So it just stands like just like a normal container. It doesn't normally input tags can actually put in information, but once you put this attribute here, you can't actually write anything inside. So that's actually an example of attributes. So you can have some of them with values and some of them which do not actually require any value. Okay. So values are assigned to attributes and they must be contained inside quotation marks. That means you can't just put your value like this. Sorry, you can't just put it like this. They must actually have quotation marks. That's what it means. Okay. And let's move to the next slide. Okay, this one here's an example of an element and attribute. Okay, so this is a div. A div literally is a container. It holds content, right? It's actually, I would say a div is one of the most important tags in HTML. So if you're actually going to be studying HTML, you're going to be using HTML for your website. If you're going to, of course, as a beginner, you have to use HTML before you can advance to libraries and framework, right? So you're going to actually come across using how you are going to have to use a div in most cases because div is really important. It's like, let's just say it's one of the most primitive tags I know about. I know I use them a lot. I use div a lot. Okay, it's going to be very important. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, nesting now. So nesting is another concept of HTML. Nesting, that like is a concept which says you have a parent and you have children inside a parent, right? That's what nesting means. Okay, so it's like okay, let's just go into the example. HTML elements nest inside one another. Okay, so let me just show you an example in this slide. Right. So one clear one nesting. You see that this HTML, so this HTML tag is actually the opening tag is up here and the closing tag is down here, right? So it means that whatever is inside there is being nested in this HTML tag. That's what it means. So it's got a parent children relationship, right? So this is the grandparent or something, and then these are the children, and then same way this head tag, the opening tag is up here, and then the closing tag is down here. So anything inside is being nested inside of it. That's what nesting means in HTML, right? It's just a concept. It's not doesn't it's not actually anything. It's not like it's a way of writing code. Okay, it's definitely a way of writing code, but it's mainly a concept, right? Which describes um, code HTML tags being inside of each other in form of a parent-children relationship. Okay. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Right. Okay. So now, when nesting spaces and tabs are often used to show level of nesting. What that means is that you kind of like you put indentations, right, to show that okay, this is a parent, and then any space out, you space the children forward by one step in indentation, put indentation spaces, just one step. So we're going to see an example. So let's go to the next slide, see an example. Okay, so take a look at this. So you look at this example now, you see the body tag is up here, and then you can see there's kind of like space. You see how it's like going inside? It's going inside here. That's actually what nesting means. So this is nesting now. So we're nesting all of this inside the body tag, right? So these are the children, and then this div is now hosting all of this. So that's actually the concept of nesting, right? So you get the point. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so then common HTML tags. Let's talk about most of the HTML tags you'll be using mostly in your projects, right? So first, okay, so talk about doc type. This is the first element on every HTML page. So this statement doc type is always very important. So you can't ever forget it. It's very important. Okay, so this is the first element on every HTML page. It tells the browser to expect HTML and version to be used. Right, for the newest version of HTML, the element should look like this. So, okay, I think the newest version of HTML is HTML5, right? And then this symbol should always be in your, since you actually were currently using HTML5, this is what represents HTML5, right? So you must put it in this way. You must put this exclamation mark, and then you're going to now put this statement doc type. I think it's mostly in capital letters, and then you put a HTML after it. Just put the HTML, just type HTML stuff there. This just tells you better this is HTML5 if you're coding, right? Okay, so let's go to the tags now. So HTML, after the doc type, all page content must be contained in HTML tag. So so this is just a way of writing your code, right? After I've written okay the doc type, then next I would have to now write the HTML tag, which we saw up there when we first saw the illustration of. You can actually you can rewind the video back to that section. You'd see that we had this HTML tag is the very first tag after writing your doc type. Okay, so then you kind of like do the nesting kind of thing, right? So you now put next tag is now your head tag. This contains the page title and metadata. So you have a tag called meta, right? It contains information which are meant to preset the website before rendering the content, right? So it's kind of like synchronous, start from top to bottom. So you're going to see the head tag and then okay metadata which contains okay do this I want my page to look like this, I want it to be set like this, stuff like that, right? Some settings on the browser. So you see, you can actually do a lot with meta tags when we get there. So next is the body tag. This element contains all the visible content on the page. So anything that's going to be seen on your website is going to be contained in your body tag. Okay. All right. And then the title. This is the title of your web page. Let me show you an example. You see this statement here. So this is what it means, right? So this is what the title of your web page means. So whenever you put a title tag and you put whatever inside, you're going to see it here. This is the title of your web page. Okay. All right. And then let's move to the div tag now, the most important. This is one of the most used tags. It is used to create a basic content of other HTML or content, right? So this is one of the most, I specify on it, is the most important tag in HTML, right? You would always use it. It is more advisable to always use it. It's just simple to use, right? So it's like, how I put it, it's just like the perfect form of tags. That's not a good one, but let's just call it perfect, right? So we have the p tag, and we have h1 to h6. We have other list. We have another list, and we have li. So we're going to see how to use all these tags. There are a lot of them, tons of them, probably 100 plus. And of course, you only use the one you actually you can use. You can't use all of them at once. So anchor elements. So let's go to well, let's just talk about some specific tags, right? So this okay, this anchor element, these are a tags. I usually call them a tags, right? So they're just used to specify links, right? So let me apply links. They use to specify links. So if in case I want to write a link to another web page or a video or something in my website, I'll put it in this tags, and then we'll now this href, this is an attribute, right? This attribute name, this attribute value, right? So this statement is this statement contains the part or the yes, I just say the we just say the link, yes, link to wherever I want you to go. So I click this button, you refer you to another page or something, or maybe download something or something. This is just the tags you use, right? Okay, so this refers, so when you see most times you're on a website and then say click this button to redirect or something, when you click the button just to on that page, this is the tag that's used in those cases, right? So the element links to another page of your website. Of course, you can actually even put it on that section of your website. That's how you see how, sorry, what the prime use of IDs, right? So when you put an ID of, okay, let's just say you have a section of your web page, you put an ID of it, so probably say about section, right? So you can just come and put hashtag about. You can write it in this way. Just put hashtag about here. So once you now click setting, you just place this statement maybe somewhere in the website. When you click on it, it's going to take you to that very section and scrolls to that section, right? You can actually take it to somewhere else. If you put a link outside the web page, you can take the users outside the web page. You can actually use it inside the web page, right? So it's a different type of link. Unlike the anchor element, okay, the link tag. Okay, this is another tag, which is they're actually very similar, right? But no, they do different things, very different. Okay, unlike this is standalone tag actually, right? And it just tells you, okay, in case you are going to load your CSS, load any external file, of course, just CSS or you are probably writing a link. So okay, we'll talk about in cases where you are kind of like using okay, when you're importing fonts from a different website, you put them in this link tag. So we're going to get to the uses of it later on, but this is very different from this, right? While this is actually used to specify click on this button to go somewhere, this usually is in a head tag, right? So it's just to preload some sort of okay, in case you are importing font, you just preload the font. And in this case, we're using for CSS, right? We use it to load our CSS, all our styling. So it's used to load the CSS into the HTML, right? So this one is useful. Okay, so next we'll go to comments. Okay, so comments are literally like any other good coding language. HTML offers comments. They operate like comments in any other language. They're ignored by the browser engine. So in case you probably want to leave some text, okay, a way to say, okay, this is what this code means, this is what this section is doing, you just put it in this comment. So you just look at the way it's written. So you must have this opening symbol, this less than symbol, okay, then you have this exclamation mark, and then you have these two dots, must always be two, and then the content. Most times you're using VS Code. Once you've written this section, it just auto completes it for you, right? So don't worry about but it always closes like this. So this is just anything written inside here will be ignored by the browser, right? The browser doesn't see it as anything, it just ignores it totally, right? That's what it means. So in case you want to write an explanation, okay, this is what this code means, this is what this section means, stuff like that. Okay, so going to tables now. So tables are another feature of another tag. These are tags actually. Yeah. So tables are a way to represent complex information in a grid. So in case you can create some sort of online database to show. Okay, in case let's just take for example, we have students name, maybe name, their class, their scores or something like that. You want to arrange it in form of a table, right? Use this tag. Okay, so let's explain what table tag is. Just going to be a parent, which represents, okay, when you put the table tag, you tell the browser, okay, I want to start a table, right? Okay, and then they're made of rows and columns. So tables are compound elements similar to lists. They're made up of several elements. Okay, so this is the first tag, which represents the table tag. So you put it in sort of like a tag format, something like this. It's not a standalone tag. It has a opening and a closing. It's something like this. Yeah. Okay, so this is a table tag, and then you now nest every other thing inside of it. Okay, as I was saying, we have a table, right? So this is table element, and it comprises of several smaller elements in it, right? So this is we have a tr. So this tr represents the head row, right? So in case you have, okay, the student's name. Let's just take a look at an example. Yeah, just keep up. So look at this example now. So this is the first name. This is actually the content of the tr. You take a look at the slides. This slide. So the tr represents the, okay. Tr represents a row, right? It presents a row, and then you have th, which represents, is short for t head, right? And td, which is short for t data, right? So this represents the data inside, and then this represents the head, right? So like the head tags. Okay. So once you put your first name, last name, and favorite animal, okay. So that what that does is just puts it in a row, right? It just displays this for you, okay. So the tr represents a new row in a table. So note that it's never going to work if it's outside a table tag, so it must always be in a table tag. That's something we should always note, right? Okay. And then the td represents, okay, the data content of this is another row, tr, the opening tag. Then we have our closing tag here, okay. And then this is another one, opening and closing, and then we now close the table tag. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, and then this is the outcome of it. This is the first row, th, second row, t data, third row, t data. Okay, so then move to the next slide. And okay, now it's time for us to ask some questions. So I want you to pause your videos. Okay, so the first question is, you can actually pause and ponder about it. As you're a beginner, you might actually need to challenge yourself a little bit on what we have learned so far. So what is wrong with this code? So actually this is it. This is the code, and like I want to take a look at this and hang on, what's actually wrong with this code? Okay, so you can pause your video and figure it out. Okay, so let's go to the answer. Okay, the closing head tag should be before the opening head tag. So what that means is this: to solve this problem, we have to put this right up here. Okay, so you have to put the head tag should be before the closing head tag should be before the opening of the body tag, right? So this must be here because this represents content that should load before the browser shows anything, right? So literally, if you have a code that probably not going to load, I don't know, but this just holds things pre-definition of your website. Okay, that's what it means. All right, so let's go to the next question. Okay, this is the answer to it. Okay, so then the next talks about what is wrong with this code now. So take a look at this one. I want you to try to figure out what is wrong with it. Okay, just look at it well. Right. Okay, so let's take a look at what is wrong with it. Of course, the title tag is not closed, right? This is not a standalone tag, it needs something here, so we just put that manually. Okay, this is the solution to this problem. Just put that here, and there we go. Okay, so look at the next question, which says, okay, what is wrong with this code? So this is another one. Of course, what is wrong with this is the fact that um, there's no quotation mark in the attribute value. Okay, so that means we have to put this here. So you can either put a double or single, but whichever one you start, you can't have something like this. Right? This is going to be an error. Okay, so they must always be the same, either using this all the way or using this all the way. Okay, that's it. And then what's the next slide, which says, okay, now you've learned the basics of HTML syntax. Now you like you just check it out. Okay, so now we're done with this crash course. Okay, so the next video we'll be talking about practically illustrating this in real time on the web browser. Okay, so we're going to see how all these things work, how you can actually use them. Okay, so this is just illustration on how to get started in learning this stuff. Okay, so I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.